From the Middle is a founding start again.
Nailed
it. Crushed it. From the Middle is a founding member of Odd Pods Media. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into episode number 260 of From the Middle. We are middle-class guys living in the middle of America and the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle. And this week, we have someone from Texas, but who's in California as a fourth chair. We're very excited to have Jon on from the Grab 'em in the Brisket podcast. We talk a little bit about America because it's America, okay? We have some drive-through etiquette questions. We talk a little bit about travel and a tiny bit of streaming on the back end. I think you're going to love this episode with our fourth chair. We have a ton of fun. Here it goes.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved.
From the Middle after dark over here.
Hey everyone, I hope you're having an awesome 4th of July week. Welcome to From the Middle. I am so excited to have a special fourth chair, if you're familiar with our podcast. We have guest episodes from time to time, and sometimes we do our quote unquote regular episodes with just an additional person and going around the horn. And this week we have none other than Jon Lathrop, one of the hosts of Grab 'em in the Brisket podcast. I think our biggest fan. Our dad would probably debate that, as well as Jeremy Kester. But you engage with us regularly. You send in emails and voicemails, and you weigh in and you comment, and we just love and appreciate you, man. You're awesome. And I think it was, Dylan, keep me honest, 179. We had the rest of your hosts of Grab 'em in the Brisket and had a good time with a podcast mashup episode. But thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah. This is awesome. You guys make my Wednesdays so much better, and I'm glad you handpicked the best Grab 'em in the Brisket host to jump on with you.
Yeah, clearly. And so here's another couple reasons why we thought you'd be perfect as a fourth chair to just sort of hang out with us this week. You're from Texas. You're a barbecue connoisseur, and it's 4th of July week. So nothing said like America to me more than Texas and barbecue. And so for this 4th of July special episode, it just seemed very fitting that you join us. So thanks for that.
Digging the outfit too.
I got the Bucky the July swag going.
That's so good. See, here I thought just my Captain America hat would be good enough for this week, and then you just totally show up and big time us with your whole outfit. All the more reason, if you're not subscribed on YouTube, you should be, and you can come check out Jon's hat and shirt, which are incredible. So thank you for adding in that. Just makes it that much more 4th of July-y, which I love.
That's what I was going for.
Beautiful.
So speaking of you guys' podcast, I don't know, I don't want to start beef, but I took umbrage with some comments and some conversation you guys were having on Grab 'em in the Brisket, and I feel like we need to talk about it. So every once in a while, we share like topics or like questions or segments. Like you guys will do something that we enjoy and we kind of borrow it, or we'll do something that you enjoy and you guys kind of borrow it, right? So Dylan Kendall and I had this conversation that had made its way around social media that was the whole like, is a hot dog a sandwich? Is a hot dog a taco? Is cereal soup? And you guys, because you're a food podcast, we said these guys definitely need to weigh in on this topic. So you shared the episode a week or so later, and I went in and listened, and you guys were having a fun conversation. But here's the part that really stuck in my craw. Is that the expression? So you're having the conversation, and your co-hosts were getting like mad at the questions. They're like, it was like at a core guttural level, these questions were upsetting them. And they were just like saying, no, a hot dog's not a taco. And then you'd be like, so why? And they'd be like, because it is, or it isn't. And a taco's a taco and a hot dog's a hot dog. Like the best arguments ever. But then this is the part that really bothered me. I think it was Matt. He said, those guys over at From the Middle need to check their privilege, because if these are the things that they're sitting around talking about, And I was like, first of all, these aren't our questions. Okay, we didn't come up with them. They're questions going around online that are fun debates. Secondly, he was assuming that we were taking a position, which we weren't. We were just regurgitating the questions. Check your privilege, sir. Thoughts? I would like to hear how you thought the conversation went, because it bothered me just a little bit.
I thought it was amazing, and I knew as soon as I had the questions that it was going to go exactly like that. They are foodies through and through, and they were, yeah, you're right, they were offended almost immediately.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was good fun weighing in on that. Dylan Kendall, I don't know if you have thoughts or if you were as offended as I was, but like checking our privilege. I loved it. This is what our podcast is all about.
I very much enjoyed, with a giant smile on my face, the level of discontent that simple questions can raise. It shows that maybe they aren't so silly questions after all. Because I oddly enough do take a side on probably most of those questions and would feel a little bit passionate about my opinion on whether or not things are whatnot. There was I forget which one of you it was. There was somebody who took the stance of a hot dog is a sandwich.
I don't remember who it was either.
Yeah, there was one though. We had one.
Yeah. As the resident contrarian, Kendall would like those kind of questions. I feel like that's right up his alley.
I wouldn't say contrarian.
Okay. Somewhat of a contrarian. One thing that I like, so I've said for a long time, I don't always care what people believe, but I am curious why they believe it. And so it doesn't bother me so much that they took a hard stance, but I'd like to know, like, what in their mind or their soul or their spirit triggered such a strong response to the question. Like, because frankly, I don't, is a hot dog a sandwich? Sure. Why? Fine. It doesn't really bother me if you consider it to be one or not, but I would like to know why it bothered them so much. The idea, is it feel like the meat is so inferior that like it can't possibly be a sandwich, but then bologna
sandwiches,
so it's like, so what? And if you get an all beef frank, a really good one with great toppings and a great bun, that's better than a lot of sandwiches. So like, why does it bother them so much? I thought the whole video and reaction was great, and I love that you brought it up on your show because it was so fun. Anybody, we'll try to link to that episode on Grabbing the Brisket so you can go see their reaction or get a clip or something, because it was awesome.
I think Jan got so worked up at one point that he's like in a high pitched voice was like, it isn't. Like whatever stance he took, he was just so bothered by the question. It was fun. So speaking of food and barbecue, John, do you have big plans this week? What are you up to?
Yeah, I'm gonna cook like crazy. I'm out here visiting my folks in California. So earlier you mentioned I'm from Texas. I'm not originally from Texas. I'm originally from Northern California, but I got to Texas as quick as I could. Yeah, so I'm out here visiting. My mom's out picking up some meats right now. I think we're going to do some ribs, some brisket, chicken, some wings, the whole gambit. We're going to cook all of it, probably all week long.
I just thought of this. I thought of this correlation, and Kendall will appreciate being a worship pastor. Anytime there's like a meal, like a corporate meal, and a pastor is there, they'll always defer to the pastor and say, can you bless the meal? And it's kind of a joke amongst pastors that they always have to pray when they're at something because they're the pastor. Do you always have to cook since you're the barbecue guy at family events? Is it just assumed that if there's meat that John's going to be on the smoker or on the grill?
Yeah, most of the time. I would say 9 to not always. And my mom cooks really well. She actually has, since I got into it, she's got a smoker, and now she's got a Weber kettle and a flat top. So she cooks like crazy too. She can definitely throw down a brisket or a pork butt or whatever. But when I come out, usually they're like, "Hey, will you make this?" or "Hey, will you make that?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I will."
I was gonna say, does that bother? Does it like you always have to be that guy, or you're honored and happy to do it?
Oh no, I love it. Are you kidding me? I do this for fun.
Heck yeah.
This is my favorite
that
thing.
you'll be able to confidently say this week that you're making the best barbecue in the state.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to be let down for the next 11 and a half months.
Yeah. That raises an interesting question, because our show is called From the Middle. Our part of our shtick is that we're from Middle America or whatever. And obviously, Texas and California are not in the middle of America. Geography alert. But people like to oversimplify things too. So we often think in terms of urban or rural. And I think it's fairly common knowledge Northern California is more rural, correct? It's not what like the whole Southern Cal or urban city thing that people think about. Um, how what are your thoughts on how different of an experience it is coming from Texas going to California? Because people always think politics, but also a lot of Texas is dusty. Northern California is rural and lots of vineyards and is very different than Southern California. People might clump it together and just say, oh, like rural Texas has rural parts, California has rural parts. But like it's pretty different. We're like rural Ohio, if you're not in one of the major cities, it's all pretty similar. We've got some hilly places and some corn places, but it's similar enough. But those are very different.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm from Houston, so it's the fourth biggest city. It's enormous. You can drive for 2 hours in Houston, still be in Houston. My folks here, they're in Sacramento, so it's still not. It's not a tiny city. It's the capital of California. It's a pretty big city. As far as like dusty, I don't know about all that, but
you have to educate us. We don't know. We're not from the extreme coastal and unique parts of America. We're from the boring cornfield.
Yeah, there's like a bowl or something about dust.
Yeah, something like
I
a dust
keep
bowl,
hearing about every
Right,
college
yeah.
year.
vineyards.
Something about that area.
yeah, I don't know. I guess it's not that much different. Like the food is way better in Houston. I can tell you that.
Okay.
The weather is a lot different in Houston. They're both hot as hell. It's supposed to be like 110 all week here in Sacramento. But I'd rather be here for the weather. That weather is still going to be better than what we have in Houston, even though it's only going to be about 90. Just because it's so humid there, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how it is in Ohio, but in Sacramento in the evenings, it'll probably drop down to 60. So
Yeah.
it doesn't do that in Houston. In Houston, if it's 90 during the day, it's probably 78, 80 at night. It's hot. It's just hot all the time.
I do think our food scene is not comparable to Houston, but our folks would prefer the Houston food scene likely over Sacramento.
Yeah, that's two shots fired, Sacramento food scene.
Sorry.
Hot take.
I don't think that's shocking though, right? Like Midwesterners would probably prefer Southern food and barbecue over whatever California's serving, other than maybe the wine part.
Yeah.
I don't think that's shocking information.
No, I don't think so. Houston has such their food scene is amazing. Mexican food, Tex-Mex, barbecue, just Southern cooking, you name it. The only things I would say that Houston doesn't have, or that I at least haven't found in my last 15 years here, is a decent pizza,
Mm-hmm.
and any kind of like Chinese food, or like I just haven't found a spot that I'm like, oh, that's a good spot. It's always like, yeah, that's not good. I don't like that at all. But something with the, I think it's the humidity or something. It messes with the dough down here, because the bread's never quite like it is out in California, or probably up in New York, or that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
If you can figure it out, there's certainly at least some overlap with good barbecue and going on pizza. So there's an opportunity there if you can start a good pizza shop and have some of those be barbecue chicken, barbecue beef, throw a little cheese on there. We'll get y'all some good ranch that you can dip things in. We're good at that.
Yeah,
so
that's the Midwest contribution. But you're right. The barbecue chicken ranch pizza is a thing here. Like
get
it's
bacon on
everywhere.
it. Do some caramel, or do some candied bacon. Put that on the pizza with the chicken. Yeah, it'd be great.
Mhm.
That sounds good. Yeah, I get jealous every time I hear you guys talking about the new pizza places you're trying, or it's just awful. It's like every week my daughter's like, let's get pizza, and it's like Papa John's. All right, let's go.
Bummer. So sorry.
Well,
Well, we're sorry we can't hang with you in Sacramento. I'd love to. I was going to say get a taste of your meats, but that's not cool. Hey, Dylan, Kendall, what are you guys doing? Somebody bail me out, please.
Well, I think we can talk about also other general plans. Fireworks are a thing. Lots of cooking and getting together with family is a thing. I know we're doing that this week. Corey, you're already up in Northwest Ohio. I'll be heading later in the week for a couple days. Kendall, do you guys have any plans?
Well, so tomorrow, well, as of recording this, on the 3rd, so, today, we plan on seeing fireworks in the evening in our hometown here. I like grilling, and we like eating outside in the summer. And so for me, like a Weber kettle is the only piece of equipment I've got out on the deck, and I do quite a few things with it. Chicken quarters is by far my favorite thing to cook on the grill. So I might do that. But that's assuming that I'm not feverish and weird, because I'm sick right now. That could happen. So but yeah, that, and then a parade on the 4th that we'll go see. The kids were on a soccer team last year in a league. Then they were invited to walk the parade, and so they weren't sure about it. The trick is an adult has to walk it with them, and because they're under the age of whatever. And so I took them for a drive, and we drove the parade route with them on a hot day. And asked them asked them straight up, do you want to do this? If you want to do this, we'll figure it out. If you don't want to do it, we won't do it. They didn't want to do it. So that worked out.
You guys feel how hot it is out here? Pretty miserable. You guys want to walk this?
Yeah. Keep the windows up. I'm turning the AC off. All right.
You feel how long we've been driving at 4 miles an hour? Does this seem fun to you? Is this something you really want to sign up for? Ooh, hot, isn't it?
Oh man,
that's our plan. And then we're taking off next week. We're going to be in Pittsburgh next week.
Oh.
Pittsburgh and the Pittsburgh.
Word.
That's
Word.
awesome.
And then I'm going to be in Houston at the beginning of August.
Yeah, you need to send me the date.
Yeah, it's going to be like the 1st and 2nd. We're only going to be there for like a day and a half, 2 days. We're going to catch an Astros game. We're staying right there in the area. So we'll see. We won't have a car. So there's that. But
I have a car.
You have
Yeah, I do have
good. That's good.
From the middle, grab them in the brisket mashup. John and I got together when he was in Columbus for work, so it can happen.
Yeah,
that's
Took
true.
him to a gay bar. It was a good time.
Here's a 4th of July adjacent question. So I was
speaking
looking
of fireworks.
Yeah. So. Oh, speaking of fireworks, Katy Perry has a good song anyway. So I was looking for some 4th of July music to play. And I feel like every time I try to Google that, it's just like a picture of Hulk Hogan with the American flag behind him and like a generic. Is there what am I missing? There's like James Brown, Living in America. That feels very like Rocky, Apollo Creed, red, white, and blue shorts. You guys got any 4th of July favorites? It's okay if you don't, but I need a playlist.
Born in the USA.
Yeah. Okay.
Springsteen.
Yeah.
I won't go too heavy into the Springsteen, but
proud to be an American.
Sure. Okay. The standards. There's nothing new then. Got it.
My buddy Rich O'Toole, Texas Country. He just released an album, and one of the songs is called 4th of July, and it's a banger. Check it out.
Oh,
nice.
Well, there you go. That wasn't even like a plug because I knew that was a thing. That was just a great, like, everybody check out Rich O'Toole. He's got a banger. So
there you go. Anything country, really, I think would fit.
Anything country.
That's true. Yeah. I don't listen enough. Who are the trendy Florida Georgia Line? Are they still?
Well, not the trendy country. You want old, like the 90s and earlier.
Actual country.
Oh, real, not country rock. Not that's a new genre.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Not my thing normally.
I mean, some of the new stuff is great, but like when I think of 4th of July and country, like I'm not thinking of Post Malone, right? I'm thinking of
Jelly Roll. Not
Jelly Roll.
Beyonce.
Although Post Malone, I heard some stuff today about a full-on country album that he's doing, and he's, I think, more country than a lot of country artists are.
I have a theory about all this crossover. And it's not an insult to country, but I don't think these people are doing it because they just love country. I think they're tired of Taylor Swift winning all the awards. and they feel like if they switch to country, they've got a better shot at winning some more. They're not EGOT chasers, but I'm just saying, I think they could diversify their audience and win some more awards if they make some country albums.
Maybe.
That's my theory.
Maybe. Posty's talking about a permanent switch, though.
Really? Didn't Jelly
Yes.
Roll just permanently switch?
Uh-huh. Post like 10 years ago in an interview basically said that like, because he was one of these like Billie Eilish who got like popular on YouTube singing stuff. Yeah, and specifically it's Bob Dylan songs that he was singing that brought him stardom. And so the stuff that we usually think of with Post Malone isn't necessarily his goal. Like a decade ago in an interview, he had said that like his end goal is to be in the country game. Like that's where his heart is. That's where he wants to end up.
Interesting.
So we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Keep an eye on Posty. I have an etiquette question, a quick story, and then an etiquette question if you guys are game.
Our favorite.
We went to Dairy Queen the other day, and my favorite thing is the Royal Strawberry New York Cheesecake Blizzard if I'm going to Dairy Queen. And I always say extra stuff because it's like toppings the first third and then vanilla ice cream below. And I want more toppings and not just vanilla ice cream on the bottom 2/3. So that's what I ordered. I ordered one for me and one for Brie. And I said 2 small of the long name extra stuff. And the response that I got back was a sort of annoyed. Did you want like the extra stuff like the cheesecake or the extra stuff like the strawberries or what? Like that, just like that. And I said yes to all of that, all the toppings. And she's like, okay, pull around, and didn't give us the total. And my initial reaction that I said out loud was, I'm sorry to bother you with my business, like in my own head. That's what I'm thinking.
Sure. Fair question.
Bother you with being
Comment.
a paying customer who's polite.
Yeah, you're so sassy.
It was very sassy. Like even like the only reason I honestly considered pulling away, the only reason I didn't is because this Dairy Queen drive-through, the only lane for the drive-through, you can't pull away from it. It's cement on both sides and it's 1 car wide. So as soon as you get in the drive-through order, you're stuck until you get past the window. Because I was seriously like, that's so annoying. I kind of want to leave and just go somewhere else and get a shake. Because why is it such a big deal that it's on the menu. It says you can order extra stuff on the menu. I'm not trying to make a weird custom thing. All right. So anyways, so we go up, she's kind of dismissive, and I understand. I've worked fast food. People have hard days, whatever. But you kind of have to like reset, check your attitude with new people once problems are over, and at least try to put up a nice face externally and then complain when, you're free. So anyways, I'm sitting there thinking, I need to say something and I'm thinking the nicest way I can engage on this is, I'm really sorry. Did I order that improperly? Was I rude when I ordered that?
Such a Midwestern way to like preempt the exchange.
Yes, it's like I always make it as if it's my fault to be able to bring it up so it's non-confrontational in the hopes that they would say, oh no, it wasn't you. I'm so sorry. I wasn't being whatever. And I kept thinking, I got to say something because like I'm paying $16 for 3 ice cream things or $17 for 3 ice cream things, none of which were large. And like I'm getting sass for it. This feels like completely unnecessary. So I'm thinking I'm going to say something like, no, she's probably just having a bad day. It's not worth it. But I would have considered just like saying never mind and pulling away if that were an option. So my question is, I say all of that to say, at what point do you say something, or have you ever, or at what point do you just leave? You're like, you know what? If you're going to talk to me like that through a drive-through, I'm leaving, cancel my order. Do you ever say anything? Is there anything that could be said that would push you to the point of your limits where you're like done? Or do you always just take it and like, because my thinking is they need the feedback to not do it again, but I don't even want to deal with that sometimes. It's like, no, I'm just not coming back. So there's a lot of questions in there, but feel free to chime in with things that you have experienced or what would be your tipping point to say something or just leave.
Well, while the other two guys think, I'll lead with the situation that happened that I shared an episode or two ago at the rental car place when it's 1:30, 2 in the morning. Two other employees have left. The one that was about to leave looks at me. I'm the next and only person in line. And they look at me like, I don't know, man. Like, and then they look at their colleague and go, can you take him? Because this guy clearly just wanted to go home for the night. And I just said, well, that doesn't make me feel very nice, with a big smile on my face and a kind of like half fake laugh. So I, like you, tried to bring their guard down a bit by either putting the responsibility on my shoulders, even though it doesn't belong there, or making a joke and making light of the situation so that, like you said, they go, no, I'm sorry. You're right. Go ahead, step forward. It's been a long day, right? Like, I try to put them not on the offensive. I try to, yeah, you know what I'm saying? You feel me?
Yeah. And in that situation, I can understand because you literally need transportation, like, to make it through. This is a situation where if I could have pulled away, I could have said, this is just ice cream. I don't need this kind of hassle when I'm giving them my money. I can just leave and they can learn their lesson. To literally, I don't even need over the top Chick-fil-A level fast food service. I need you to not be rude. That's the only qualification.
But if that person doesn't have enough self-awareness to check her bad day, she also doesn't have enough self-awareness to know that you left because of her sass.
Well, I could have replied in theory, I'm sorry, it seems like my order is a problem. Just cancel it. We're going to go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
on her.
Point.
Now she's got some soul searching to do while you pull away.
Yeah, I don't think there's a circumstance there where like you make her like really feel sorry about what she did.
No, I think she just thinks that guy's a jackwagon.
Yeah.
And puts it on me, even though it's her problem.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been upset enough to leave an ice cream behind.
Fair enough.
Having said that, I guess, I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that.
We'll certainly come back in. Part of my thinking, just interrupt me anytime. Part of my thinking is it's one thing 10 years ago when you're getting that kind of sass and your bill is $6. It's another thing in our current environment where I'm leaving Taco Bell at $37 or I'm leaving small ice creams at $17 or whatever. It's like, I don't expect, again, excellent white glove service. Just be neutral. Give me non-attitude. And it's expensive. I at least don't be rude to me while I'm giving you my money at the same time. I feel like that's a pretty low bar for these places. And so that's my annoyance is it's we're doubling down. I'm getting hit in the wallet and I'm getting hit in the face with rudeness. And I don't feel like the ice cream's worth it. You know what I mean? Like, and trust me, I didn't want to walk away from ice cream. That's not the problem. That's not it. It's
not worth it, even with double the stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I guess if I were going to say something, which I'm pretty non-confrontational, I would be very nervous to say something before I already had the food in my hand.
Yeah.
I'm always nervous that somebody's going to do something to my food. So
fair. Yeah,
they hand me the food, then I can be like, hey, did I order that wrong? But before that, I'm probably not saying anything.
Yeah. I've done at restaurants, so I've literally said, I'm sorry, I probably ordered this wrong. I meant to say no onions. And in my head, I'm screaming, I would literally never order something without or with onions because I hate onions. I know this wasn't my fault, but I'm trying to be polite out loud and say, I'm not even happy to pay for both. If that's a problem, I just would really like this made without onions, please. And thank you. So I get it. The non-confrontational thing. It's certainly a thing for sure. Anyways, I thought that was annoying and amusing to discuss at the same time. So if that happens, keep an eye out of rude employees. We can circle back and discuss it again because I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I don't want anybody out there to drive off because we are going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to listen to some of our friends in Odd Pods Media. and we'll be right back with your order and a smile on our face.
Or just not a bad attitude.
Hey, this is Grab and Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks,
Ooh, like Wee Man from Jackass.
and musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole?
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus Beth Gators,
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, so check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
Sorry that my brain froze up for a second there. I was a little, I don't know. Like, I listen to you guys every single week, and a lot of your episodes I've listened to more than once. Basically, I found you guys right when I moved into my new house about, 3 years ago. So I listened probably the first 50 to 100 episodes in like maybe a month span while I was unpacking my house. So when I get to jump on with you guys, it's a little bit, I don't want to say starstruck because you guys are knuckleheads, but yeah, my brain shuts off. I find myself watching and just enjoying and realizing, shit, I'm part of this.
You feel like you're just cleaning your house and then remember that like you're
Right.
you're on the actual episode. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
You're not getting anything done right now, John. Just to let
Right,
you know.
yeah.
You got some
I'm waiting
catching
for
up.
my wife to be like, are you going to do anything?
Oh, I thought you were going to say must be the Sacramento air, but you know, that makes sense too.
Oh, that's right. You're not home.
All right, so picking up the inflation thing, like so I'm at Dylan and I's mom's house right now. We're doing some family reunion 4th of July festivity stuff. And she said on the break, she said, I was gonna come over and say on the inflation thing, Dylan wanted meatballs for this family potluck that we're having. And she said, I haven't bought meatballs in like 5 years. And they used to get a 5-pound bag for $8.98. And it's now $17.98 for the same 5-pound bag of meatballs. So life is crazy over here. But anyway, Dylan, it's your fault, is what we're saying. Speaking of ice cream. So for those that don't know, John, our 4th chair today, works in the airline industry. And it was while traveling that I discovered Biscoff cookies. The little cookies that they give you on, I don't know which airlines, but it seems like it's usually American Airlines gives you the Biscoff cookies. Is it just me, or do you guys feel like Biscoff is like making a real, making progress in the food market? So there's like ice creams when I was in London, they're like mixing it, they mix the crumbles in the ice cream and do like a blizzard with it and then put one cookie in the top. Little boutique ice cream places are doing stuff with Biscoff cookies. I discovered that they make a Biscoff cookie smooth spread that I put on a banana instead of peanut butter, and it's amazing. Then Sherry found at our Kroger, they make a Biscoff crunchy spread. So it's like got some little bits of the cookie chunks in. Are you guys like observing this Biscoff cookie trend, or is this one of those like when you have a car, you notice other makes and models of that car things?
Maybe, but I don't buy Biscoff, and I feel like I've noticed a couple thoughts. So first of all, there was a comedian, I think it was Brian Regan, that used to joke about who's the cranberry salesman, because cranberries are getting put in everything. They're mixing it with every juice. And Costco has Biscoff, or at least they have the last couple times I've been there, in a big bulk case. And I thought about getting them because they are pretty good. And I never thought much of them because the first time I was aware of them was on a flight. So I don't know if they're high end or not, somewhere in the middle. I just assume they were kind of a cheap cookie that were easy to like throw on a plane. I don't know if they're popular or what. So I didn't really know anything about them. But now, because of just some groups and things that I follow, one of those happens to be like a thread where people talk about their favorite things from Costco. And I feel like a bunch of people have commented on getting the Biscoff cookies. And then I've also seen them in things. And so I'm wondering who the Biscoff cookie salesman is.
Right.
Because he's getting these things and everything. And I don't know. He's just got a great pitch. And they got a lot of cookies to offload. And I don't know what it is. But
He's been talking to the Oreo guy.
Yeah, the dude or the lady, whoever's selling these things is very good at their job. They're out there just hustling with these Biscoff cookies.
Good by themselves. You can dip them in coffee like a biscotti. You can put them in ice cream, spread it on a banana. I mean, it's so good.
I feel like I've seen people do it with like Nutella or almond butter, stuff like that, where they'll put those on the cookies too. I don't know. I don't know what the thing is, but maybe it's around here. Maybe our very uh, neutral Midwest palates just really like the Biscoff cookie. It's an easy, it doesn't upset your tummy kind of cookie that people can just, throw it in everything up here, kind of like ranch and mayonnaise.
Yeah. Is it like a very buttery, like a shortbread kind of cookie? I've never had one.
Kind of a little cinnamony.
Yeah, got a little spice to it. Yeah. Oh, so good. I want one right
They're
now.
really good. But I don't feel like I ever see them. Like you said, they're making a comeback. I was shocked to hear that. I never see them.
Less comeback and more just like it seems like they're spiking their way into other food groups and other like usages. It's just interesting. So I have another question, and John, I'm not putting you on the spot to like defend the airline that you work for, but and I won't even mention them. But some airlines, when you buy tickets, you choose your seat, and some airlines you get in a boarding group. And you just walk down the aisle and grab your preferred type of seat. Some people prefer window, some people prefer aisle. Nobody likes the middle. There's a metaphor for the show. So there are great benefits to the latter, right? So I just traveled with a family of 5. We were in one of the earlier boarding groups. It's very convenient then to be able to basically save 2 rows because we want to all sit together if possible. If you do it that way, the boarding group style, I assume it's harder to book 5 seats right beside each other, but it's very easy with boarding groups to walk on, find the first 2 rows separated from each other, and just set stuff down and basically claim those 2 rows, and then a 6th person will join your family of 5. You understand? Mm-hmm. But there's a downside to that, which is now I have anxiety about seat selection. And I feel like the benefit to choosing a seat is that normally this isn't even something that I have to think about because I know I already have an aisle and it's not something I have to consider. Now there's an added layer of anxiety of me the whole time going, am I going to be able to? So the whole boarding with a group versus an assigned seat thing feels like it actually adds a layer of unnecessary anxiety thoughts.
Yeah, 100% it does. It gives me anxiety, and I don't even sit in a regular seat. I sit on a jump seat.
Right. I shouldn't have to be thinking about that. I should just know that I have an aisle because I have a little bit of claustrophobia. I want to be able to get out whenever I want to get out and not have to bother 2 other people. And so I prefer an aisle. Now I have to think about this whole thing, and
yeah. Southwest, that's what I work for. They've always done it that way. So for the last, I don't know, pushing 50 years now. And the reason they do it that way is because they say you can board a plane faster. I don't know if that's true or not. They say we board our planes faster and we get out of there. So we do more flights in a day. We get you there faster, whatever it is. We used to be able to turn planes in 25 minutes. We'd get on the ground, we'd get everybody off, get everybody on, and be gone in 25 minutes. Now it's like an hour because everybody brings everything they own. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it will change. I've heard for like the last 10 years, we might be doing assigned seating, but who knows?
Yeah, every so often I read an article about that says, Southwest is changing things, and then they never do.
They're constantly testing things here and there, but who knows?
Yeah. Definitely pros to it, definitely cons to it. But do I understand correctly that we were in Hawaii we were in Maui at the same time? Like you came in for a flight and I was leaving, or vice versa?
Something like, I don't know exactly which day's what, but yeah, we were definitely in Maui at the same time. And that was a crazy thing because like I said, I live in Houston. I'm based in Houston. We don't do Hawaii trips out of Houston. We just don't get any overnights or any trips that go through. That go to Hawaii. So we were supposed to be going to Oakland, and they're like, "Hey, we changed your schedule. You're going to Hawaii now." I was like, "Well, all right." So we ended up going to Hawaii and made for a real long last day of our trip because we had to go from Hawaii to Vegas, sit there for a while, and then go to Houston. It was a long day, but it was really cool.
We could have hung out, man.
We should have.
On the seat anxiety thing, I feel like, I certainly relate in that, not that I've flown a ton, but being a big guy, getting through the seats feels a little like I'm in a pinball machine, just bouncing back and forth between the edges of the seats. And then I think me getting stuck in a middle seat is as worse for everybody else as it is me, and vice versa, because I just sit like this the whole flight because there's no other way to do it. And I'm like, my legs, I almost need something like hold my legs together, just because I feel like I'm already a big guy, so they're already stretched out just because they're my legs, not because I'm stretching out. And so I'm just sitting there almost as if somebody who were like hunched over in a corner, like having some kind of breakdown. But I'm just there, and then I just put in my headphones and do music, and just like, I don't want to talk to anybody. No one needs to talk to me. I'm just going to try to squeeze like this for however long my flight is. And so I don't know whether I hate it worse than the people sitting next to me, but I feel like that's a race to the bottom. It doesn't really matter at that point. Like, it's unpleasant all around. And so, lesson learned, I really much prefer to pick my seat. Probably like everybody, right? That's probably the majority, strong majority, vast majority opinion. But if anybody does prefer the sort of different version, whatever that is, just boarding groups, I would love to hear from them if they prefer that, and why.
And why? Yeah.
And why is more important. If you have any stories, John, of people who prefer it and why they prefer it, I'd love to hear that point of view, because it feels crazy. Maybe people don't care if they're small. They're slim, right. They're small. They have plenty of room no matter how they sit, whether it's the middle or the aisle. Some people don't like the window because the curve can feel claustrophobic. That doesn't bother me. I don't mind sitting by the window. I don't mind the aisle, obviously. But if you know of anybody who loves the middle seat or loves boarding groups, please let us know.
Well, as a guy who's even bigger, as a guy who's even bigger than Dylan, but I'm also a natural cuddler, and so I can't get enough of the middle seat. And sure. I make sure I'm polite. I make sure I put on a bunch of deodorant. But if anybody needs a pillow or anything like that, I'll just be like, "Yeah, come here, buddy."
I'm gonna fly with Kendall and just lean on you.
There you go. There you go.
I'll never forget Bobby Lee's ex-girlfriend Kalila once on Tiger Belly said that her personal MO when she's on a plane is that whatever the person next to, whatever spills off into her seat, like if there were imaginary walls, is hers to snuggle with or lean on. So she's always like, hey, if you're a big guy and you're leaning over, like I'm gonna snuggle with you. So this is an observation I had while traveling, and this is a very Larry David observation thought that I had that I would love for you guys to weigh in on, because I think I finally got to the bottom of something that just drives me nuts. And we did a pet peeves couple of episodes a long time back. I'm just generally bothered when people don't have spatial awareness, aren't aware, don't get out of the way, move too slow in the left lane, like all the things, right? But like, here's another, it's related to that, but I figured it out. And it starts when I went to a graduation at a university in Denver. I won't name them, but let's just say it was a university in Denver. So it was the first time that this university was doing ticketing. They've never done ticketing before, but because a lot of these demonstrations about what's going on in Gaza and Israel and Palestine, there's like all these demonstrations and people camping out on campus. And so they thought, for safety purposes, let's do ticketing this year. Okay. When we got there, we were probably an hour and a half before the ceremony was to start for our nephew's graduation. And there was one long line snaking irrationally through the campus. It wasn't like in some like metal stockades, like doubling back on itself. It would just like loop through the common area and then into a parking lot. It was clearly made up organically as people joined and tried to find the back of the line, right? Stupid hot day in Denver that day, people sweating, old ladies fanning themselves, trying to find shade while also trying to stay in line, clearly unorganized. When finally some event staff people go, folks, there's another 2 entrances. You guys are standing in one line when there could be a possibility of 3 lines. You guys need to disperse, but nobody wanted to move from the first line because they're like, because everybody's going to bum rush those second and third options. I'd rather just stay here, right? So some people leave, some people don't. When finally another event staff person comes out to everyone in line and says, folks, the whole reason that this line is so long is because people don't have their tickets ready on their phones when they get to the actual doors. And it hit me. That's what bothers me. People aren't preparing for the next step in anything. And this applies to airports and TSA, security, and boarding a plane. It was like people were getting to the top of these big steps at this hockey arena at a university in Denver for a graduation they knew they had to get digital tickets to. And then when they got to the doors, said, "Can you show us your?" And they go, I didn't know I had, what? Why do I? And I'm just like, this is what bothers me. So here's an example. When I'm going to get on a plane in Columbus, I park my car. I've got my roller bag and backpack. When I'm going up the escalator, I pull out my Ridge pocket wallet and I separate my ID from the rest of the cards in it just a little bit so that it's easily grabbable for TSA. Because I know they don't even need my boarding pass anymore. They just need my ID. And they're going to look at my ID and I'm going to go to the next step. And then when I go to the next step, guess what I do? While everybody else is just sitting there goofing around, I get my noise canceling headphones out of my backpack because I'm preparing for the flight. I get my phone out, I pull up my digital wallet, and I have my boarding pass ready. I'm ready for the next step. I'm always ready for the next step. And people get to the front of the gate, to the gate agent, like, "Oh, you need my boarding pass?" Do you guys observe this? Does it drive you as nuts as it does? Like, why don't you know? I get it if you've never traveled in your life or speak a different language other than the country that you're in. But if you logically can break down the basic steps of what it takes to get on a plane, don't you know that at some point you're going to need to have your digital wallet pulled up with your boarding pass in it?
Yeah, you are the exception, not the rule.
Why is this so hard?
Well, there's two parties involved in this whole thing, right? There's the organizers and the attendees. And if the organizers make it difficult, it's not wholly on the attendees. But when you're at an airport, you need ID and ticket. Or maybe a passport. You know what you're going to need. I use my Apple Watch and it has the QR code with my plane ticket on the watch. And when they scan it, I just hold out my watch and it scans it and I'm done and I walk on the plane. So in that situation, the airlines have made it as easy as possible. Scan something and get on the plane. So yes, it is wholly on the attendee at that point of the operation to have it figured out. It sounds like the university could have maybe had a couple of those little signs, triangle signs that said, "Please have your ticket ready before you get to the door to go into the event." And that would have had people ready as they got closer. But they still should have known because the instructions probably said, "We're going to scan this digital ticket when you come into the event."
I just feel like, what are people doing for an hour and a half in line that they don't think as poor? You could put it all on the organizers. As poorly as it was operated, it was their first time doing ticketing. They hadn't thought it through. At some point, every participant knows they have paid for a ticket and they have digital. At what? Probably when I get close to that big building over there on the horizon, I should have this ready. Come on.
Well, I think the right question that applies to most of our show is, what are people doing? Question mark. Just end it there. And that broadly covers the themes of our show. But yes, in this instance, I don't know. You think people would be like ready because they're ready. Like, I want to get out of the heat. I want to get into this venue. I'm going to have the one thing in my hand ready to go that I'm supposed to need to get into this place. So, yes, in a very Sebastian Maniscalco-y kind of voice, what are people doing? If you know what I mean.
John, it has to drive you crazy as many times as they will say, "Please reserve your smaller bags for the seat under the seat in front of you and don't take up the luggage space above for the..." And every single time a lady with a purse, a guy with a small backpack is trying to shove their stuff in there when they just said 9 times to put those smaller things under the seat in front of you. Why is this hard?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm literally the person that says that over and over again. And you're right. I try to tell the other flight attendants this because there's a lot of them, especially the newer ones, that get real frustrated. it's like a lot of these people, this is their first time flying, or it's their first time flying on Southwest. They don't understand it's open seating. They don't understand like what they're supposed to do. I feel like a lot of folks, when they walk into the airport, when they check their luggage, they check their brain. They just they don't understand. They don't get it. They're lost. They're confused. This is all new to them. So I try to treat everybody like they've never been there before, even though I know some of them are frequent. Maybe I'm being too nice, but I guess I give a little bit more leeway.
What I'm hearing is I try to treat everyone like they're children and they're idiots and they don't know
Right.
what's going on.
Right.
But even that is too high of a bar sometimes.
Yeah. I would say it sounded really kind and nice, but even you admitted that on the inside, you're assuming that their brains are gone.
Right. Mush. Absolutely.
In that regard, the Texas response is very similar to the Midwest response. We would have done the same thing. So
Yeah.
Bless your heart.
yeah.
I guess you had on the
So
inside.
I don't know. That just drives me. And it isn't about like being a rule keeper or I need to police everyone, or it's just like the reason that this is all going slow and not running more efficiently is because you didn't listen to very simple instructions and or have enough common sense to know that that thing that you paid for, you'd probably need to pull that up at some point in order to get on the plane or get into the graduation ceremony. Come on, you guys.
I think
Second,
it's as simple as like you're just not thinking about the people behind you. That's where my mind goes.
That's
It's like-
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
When folks are boarding the airplane and they're taking forever and they're looking to their left, is part of my PA because, like I said, I make some of those when we're boarding. I tell them, hey, look to your left, look to your right. If you find an open seat, that one's yours. If there's no one in front of you and a lot of people behind you, we're waiting for you. So go ahead and grab a seat, and then we'll get this show on the road.
here's the other one. People that will stand in the aisle during boarding to try to cram their bag into the overhead that's blocking the whole rest of the line. Shove it up there, fine tune it later, let the rest of traffic go through and board the dang plane. Anyway, here's another observation I had, and this one was a new one to me. Sherry and I went to London. I was on a work trip. We had a great time in London. I have so many London stories that we can dig into later. Dylan, I thought about you multiple times, especially at the Tower of London, because of the history and how much you would have loved it. So we need to go together. But London was good. Back on the Taylor Swift thing, by the way, Taylor Swift was performing concerts on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday while we were there. They said that she sold 200,000 tickets for Wembley, but get this, that there would be 700,000 people hanging out outside of Wembley, tailgating, trying to just get a glimpse of the show or hear the music from out. So 900,000 people, because it was her first ever shows in London. So there were Swifties everywhere. We were there over the weekend. When we went to go get tickets to things like Westminster Abbey, sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out. Tween girls and their moms with Taylor Swift sweatshirts on everywhere. And it was on top of the regular summer tourism that London would experience. You had 900,000 Swifties. So that was interesting. But here's the observation I made. When you've done a lot of travel, and we flew from London to Philly to Columbus, we were 2 hours late leaving Heathrow, which made our connection in Philly very tight, especially when you have to clear customs. Long day of travel, connections, being stressed out, running through airports, not my favorite thing to do. But there's something about when you finally get back to your car at the airport and you are now in control of the vehicle that you're in. I tend to speed, I noticed, because I'm finally so excited to be not at the mercy of a pilot or idiots in line or a gate agent or a customs agent, that when I finally do get back in my car, I'm speeding, windows down, music blaring. And this is a trend. I've noticed that this is to be true. So I wonder if it's a psychological thing of like, I finally get to control the pace and we're going home.
It's
Have you guys ever felt that?
Like being behind somebody who's going 10 miles per hour under the freeway speed limit, and you get off at an off ramp and you just floor it just to make a point. Like,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I think
That'll
I made
teach 'em.
myself clear.
It's that. It's I'm going to make up for some time here.
I noticed that last time I flew that I typically like I don't know that it was as well thought out, but I noticed that I typically fly back in when it's kind of late, like after 8, 9 o'clock. And so the airport, Columbus Airport, it's already pretty easy to move through, but it's especially easy to move through. And I'm like excited because the car's not hot. I'm excited because it's like easy to get out of the airport and get on 270. There's not many cars on 270 or outer belt. And so I noticed that last time that I realized I kind of enjoy that. I don't know if I had thought about the angle of being back in control, but just how much easier it is once I land because I usually land later and get out later to just go. Just I can go now. And it's
It's like an exhale. You're like, okay, fine. Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's almost like windows down because you're not stuck in traffic on the outer
Mhm.
belt, or trying to get out of town. You can just throw the windows down, enjoy the breeze, and
Yeah.
get going.
All of a sudden, you're not on a schedule. That's part of it.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
another one too. All right. Well, I've watched a lot on planes and stuff, but probably the most noteworthy, because we always kind of wrap up our episodes with some streaming things, is Shane Gillis's new show on Netflix, Tires. It's like a mockumentary sort of office style show that he I don't know if he wrote, produced, a little bit of both, whatever, but he also stars in. Not for the kids, but an enjoyable 6 or 7 episodes. I recommend it if you like The Office, you like comedy. Shane Gillis is like still blowing up right now, and after getting fired from SNL, he's kind of making a full resurgence. And it's just fun. It's funny. It's silly. It's goofball, kind of wackadoo, a little bit of college humor, but really fun. If you want something like that, what are you guys watching?
Yeah, also Tires. I haven't finished it yet, but probably more of the grown-up audience for that one. But I appreciate somebody was text me a clip of him the other day, and I just really appreciate he's got a much more. I don't want to say more blue collar than other people because there's plenty of comedians that are from more humble beginnings, but something about him feels I maybe more our age in blue collar, just very approachable, and his sense of humor is I like I don't love his stuff, but I like his stuff. It's very approachable for most people, and I think he's just got this. He's got the right balance of self-deprecating, but other types of humor too. Anyways, I like Tires. Just finished Welcome to Wrexham season 3. As always, great show. Check it out if you haven't. Still watching through the Acolyte, which is enjoyable, not awesome, not bad, regardless of the review. Some of the review bombing. It's Star Wars, so no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. They're going to go in and review bomb stuff, but it's
But are there any frogs in it?
no space frogs in this one. So that's a deep cut from our Facebook community group. Join that. No space frogs. But it's interesting, different era of Star Wars. And so we always ask ourselves, do we just feel entertained? Have we been entertained by it? Yes or no? And I am entertained. So that's some of the stuff I'm watching.
Okay. Well, so I've been again keeping up with WWE, and I watched the presidential debate, which is the same thing. And then
nicely done. That was the absolute crap show.
And then to try to raise the intellectual level of my media intake, I decided to start watching The Candidate, starring John Cena. So that's on my list. I am still reading a book, so there is that. But
we don't read on this show. Books are,
but nobody cares.
Yeah, just edit that out.
What am I, a nerd? Okay.
And that debate was an absolute embarrassing train wreck.
It was a WWE promo. That's all it was. It was
so bad.
So bad. I was entertained. What can I say?
It was interesting. People were sharing the Romney-Obama debate and how just total opposite of that debate. They were friendly at the beginning. They were well-wishing one another. It's just like, what a stark contrast to like however long, 10, 15 years ago that was. Crazy. John, you streaming anything?
Honestly, I don't watch a ton of TV. When I do stream, yeah, I start binging. I did do the tires thing. It's probably 3 weeks ago now. It's funny as heck. I love listening to this part of y'all's show when you guys talk about what shows you watch, but I always feel like an idiot because you guys are so good at talking about like what it was and the little intricacies of whatever show or movie or whatever. And I'm always like, I just like the loud bangs and the funny parts. But yeah, I haven't watched anything recently, honestly.
It's all good. You do what you just said about our show is your show about brisket and barbecuing and cooking and grilling and all those things that you guys are so good at. You know the intricacies of that. And so we can listen in awe, which, by the way, is a great opportunity. Where should people find you and your co-hosts? What's the best way to get to your show?
You guys are rolling out giveaways and stuff now too.
Yeah, you do like actual podcast stuff, which is great.
Yeah, we've got some. I don't know when this episode's going to drop, but we have a killer giveaway going around right now, and you can find it at grabthebrisket.com. It'll pop right up, and you can get signed up. But it's a ton of cool stuff. If you like to barbecue or cook or whatever, yeah, you can go to grabthebrisket.com. You can find all of our information, links to all of our social medias, and we put out a ton of content. So check it out.
Yeah. And you guys do such a good job. You're so legitimate on all fronts. You're way better at the social media game than we are. And it's not just talking about me. You guys do all kind of fun conversational stuff. It's a really good time. It's a good group of guys. Every time I watch you or listen to you guys, I just think to myself, I would love to just grab a beer and sit down in their backyards and hang out with them. You just seem like a great group of dudes. So it's a good time.
Y'all have an open invitation anytime. You're welcome to come hang out.
All right. Sounds good. Well, this has been fun. We hope everybody has a fun and safe 4th of July celebration. Go America. Jon, thank you so much for joining us. And dude, like we don't say it enough. Thank you for your personal patronage of this show. You're just a cool dude. And you've been always so supportive and kind and threw a little money in our kitty so we could do this Hot Ones challenge one day. And so thank you for that. We will be sure to link all the Grab 'em in the Brisket stuff in this episode description below. So be sure to check out Jon and his boys over there. And this has been a fun time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. See you guys.